That's your wife and my kid.
It has been 24 hours since the Yankees acquired Juan Soto from the Padres, and the baseball universe is still buzzing. Tonight, a conversation with a hardcore Padres fan who's going to let us in on what we can expect to see out of Juan Soto and Trent Grisham. Plus, your comments. It's day one of the Juan Soto era. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
New York City.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. I know a lot of you are still recovering from the trade last night. I know I didn't get much sleep. I was wired all night long, so thanks for tuning in. I feel like I have a hangover, so today we're just going to have a conversation with my good friend who I've played with, I've coached with, I've watched a lot of baseball with over the last 15 years. Just happens to be a hardcore San Diego Padres fan. So we were going to talk today anyway. Figured why not do it on camera. So let's give him a warm welcome, Brett the Jet. All right, Brett. How you feeling about this trade from a Padres perspective?
Well, I think it's I'm kind of going through the 5 stages of grief right now. You know, anytime you lose like a generational top 5 player in the game, but you know, it's kind of just the poison pill or the bitter pill that you have to kind of swallow in order to get the roster right. So congratulations, you got a great one.
So you've probably watched him a lot over the last couple of years, just, you know, from the, fans' perspective, without getting into all the, spin rate or, launch angles and all the technical stuff. What are we going to see from Juan Soto?
Well, I mean, Juan Soto's Juan Soto. I mean, don't really have to explain anything about him. He's just all around a great player, and he sees a lot of pitches. He's going to get a lot of walks. You know, the only knock I would say against him, and it's really a small knock, is that he kind of takes the same approach in the 3rd inning as he does in the 8th inning. You know, he might have 2 guys on in the 8th inning, and you really need a big base hit, and he'll look at a couple of pitches down the middle and work his walk. And, I think you kind of need to be a little bit more aggressive in those situations. But, hey, he's Juan Soto, so he's going to deliver, and so he'll be productive. And it's a small, little con, if anything.
Yeah. So the other guy that we got is Trent Grisham, and I'm actually more bullish on Trent Grisham than a lot of people are because he's so good defensively. And I think the Yankees, while Dominguez is down, are going to need a lot of innings in center field. They're talking about Judge playing a lot of center field. I'm not sure I agree with that. I still think that there's a possibility that Verdugo gets flipped. But tell me about Trent Grisham, what you've seen from him, especially on offense. Like, how do you beat this guy as a pitcher?
You throw him a lot of pitches, to be quite honest. One of his hallmarks is that he does look at a lot of pitches. He doesn't really work a lot of walks. He strikes out a lot. Because he can get a 3-1 count, and then he'll just look at 2 more pitches down in the middle for strike 2 and 3. And it's kind of like he's up there trying to work a walk, and it's like you need to be a little bit more aggressive. And when he is more aggressive, he hits the ball out of the ballpark. Don't be surprised if he homers like 3 games in a row, and you're probably like, oh, our center fielder has arrived, and he'll be great for a week, and then he'll stink for a week. And he's just not consistent. And that's why he hasn't really gotten a starting role. If he can get that consistency, then he'll be a productive, everyday major league center fielder. If he plays Gold Glove, he won a Gold Glove a couple years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, that feels a lot like what the Yankees have had in recent years. You get guys like Franchy Cordero. He came in last year, and I think he hit like 3 home runs in the first 4 or 5 games. Yeah, and then he went 1 for like 97, and they just kept running his ass out there. It was awful. So,
yeah,
all right.
Like the 4th franchise Franchy did that for.
Yeah. Well, you're going to love Mike King. I got to say, Mike King was one of my favorite pitchers to watch a couple of years ago, do you remember the Yankees got off to that great start? They were like 61 and whatever, 30 or whatever. Mike King was a humongous part of that, pitching out of the bullpen. He would come in the middle innings, say fourth or fifth inning, where you're tied or down by a run or up by a run. And it was like every time he'd throw you like 3 innings, 1 run, it seemed like, or 3 innings, no run. Like he was just extremely good in that middle relief role. He began this season kind of coming back from injury. He had an injury where he actually fractured his elbow throwing. And, you know, it didn't look gruesome, but I mean, it's a tough injury to come back from. But he seems to have rebounded nicely. This year he had more strikeouts than innings pitched. And he started out in the bullpen. And then as the attrition began to hit the Yankees rotation, as it always does, you know, maybe August or so, July maybe, Mike King started getting starts. He made 9 starts. So it must have been August. 9 starts, and he was terrific. There was one start where he got kind of hit around, but he dominated the Blue Jays. He had a game where he struck out 13 in 7 innings. Slider was late and sharp. There was a sinker. He gets a lot of ground balls. And then he can also go with the 4-seamer that he'll elevate, like with 2 strikes. You know how guys like to go, you know, in and above the hands, right? And tie hitters up with that heat. He's excellent at that pitch. And one thing, you know, early on in his career, as we, you know, see the Mike King reel right now, he didn't throw a lot of strikes early in his career. You see the in and above the hands there, and then the nasty slider to go with it. He didn't throw a ton of strikes early in his career, but as he's gotten more mature, he's just started pounding the zone more and more. So he's a guy you got to be excited about. In terms of Brito, this was his rookie season. He started the second game of the season because the Yankees, again, had so many injuries. That was supposed to be Rodon's spot. He pitched pretty well. I think he threw 5 shutout innings in his debut, maybe 5 innings, 1 run. And he got off to a decent start, but he's one of those guys who'll throw 2 good games in a row and then 2 bad games in a row. You know, he'll give up 4 runs in 3 1/3 in the, you know, and then the next game throw 6 innings, a 1-run ball, and, you know, that's kind of how it was. Vasquez is a guy who in the minor leagues had some of the nastiest stuff you'll ever see. He's got a frisbee slider, kind of like Mike King. He's got that true pitch that they're trying to create right now, that frisbee type of slider, the sweeper, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I was actually watching the highlights against the Padres when he was pitching against the Padres earlier this year. And he was featuring striking the guys out on that slider. It was really nasty.
I think Soto actually took him deep in that game, I believe.
But he also struck him out.
So the one thing that I think is going to hold Vasquez back is if you watch his motion, it seems like there's a lot of stress on the arm. You know, he's just one of those guys where it doesn't seem like he's really driving towards home plate. He's kind of a glider. And you see his arm angle just looks like it hurts, right? So Drew Thorp, obviously one of the Yankees' top pitching prospects. I'm not as high on him as other people are. You see the highlights right there because he only throws like 92, 93. You know, you had Chris Paddock, right?
Yeah. That was talked about on what Foul Territory yesterday. The Chris Paddock comp. I went and looked at the highlights that we were looking at right now, and I was like, man, I can't. It's almost like a clone. And is he just a 2-pitch guy? Does he have a third pitch?
He's from what I've read, I've never seen him pitch live or on TV. He's got a really good changeup and a good curveball.
Was that he didn't have a curveball. He didn't have a third pitch.
Yeah, so he's essentially Paddock with a third pitch. So we'll see. Maybe the Padres are saying, hey, let's see what we could have had.
He's just nasty. But the fastball is
92 is what major league hitters just kind of like their mouth waters when they see that.
And it's a high 92. He's trying to get high in the zone so he can get low with the changeup and change that level. So that that's going to get hammered.
And who else? Was there anybody else in the deal? I can't even remember at this point. So it's Thorpe, Brito, Vasquez.
Kyle Hishino, we got our backup catcher.
Oh, Higashioka, yeah. Oh, Higgy. Oh, I love Higgy. Let me give Higgy got to give a round of applause to my boy Higgy. He's also on Foul Territory a lot. He's been on a few times. I don't get to talk to them when they're on. Like, I'm kind of behind the scenes, like clipping stuff for the YouTube channel, suggesting topics, things like that. But I have submitted a few questions to like AJ or Kratz that have been answered on the screen or on the show. And Higgy just seems like such a friendly guy. He's a big time video game guy. He plays a lot of FIFA and things like that. And he's just like almost a nerd, I guess you would say, who just happens to be a good baseball player. Awesome backup catcher. If he ever gets forced into like a starting role, as he's a couple of times with the Yankees, like when the guy in front of him gets hurt, Trevino or whatever, he ends up getting exposed. But as a backup catcher who plays maybe a couple of times a week, he'll come in and hit you a big home run now and then, and he'll hit you some doubles. He's got some pop. He's got a good swing, and he's a really good defensive catcher, calls a good game, great framer, good throwing arm, just a really good guy all around. And I really am going to miss Higashioka, but that's life in the bigs, man. You got a lot of catchers on the roster.
Yeah, it seemed like he'd be a fan favorite, and he was kind of missed most of all. But we really need a catcher, and it fills a big hole for us. I'm just hopeful that some of these guys can contribute next year. Do you think Thorp and King, they'll be ready to step in the rotation right away?
King would not surprise me if he's like your number 1 or number 2 starter next year. Like, he's that good. And when you get a look at him in spring training, it's going to blow your mind. As far as Thorpe, I read that he could debut in 24 for the Padres. I think it was AJ Preller who said, and by the way, AJ Preller has one of the most punchable faces I've ever seen. I'm going to see if I can pull up a picture of this guy. Hang on. AJ Preller. And he's got this smile. Hang on. We're going to pull up AJ Preller's face. How's your face?
He apparently plays a mean game of basketball. Oh, man, that's a horrible picture. Why'd you gotta get that picture?
He's smiling. He's in a suit. I mean, how much better can you get?
It's like we should be cast in as a villain in a Bond movie or something, right?
I said on the show yesterday, he looks like he's about to sell a unsuspecting grandmother a timeshare. That's kind of what he's got that kind of energy to him. Yeah. Linus Chioke says, you guys will love Higgy and King.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I agree. But, it's a business, and you got to give away. I forget who it was that said, a good trade should hurt both sides, And to me, this was just it was a combination of a salary dump and a baseball trade. Like, I feel like there's two categories of trade. There's like the salary trade where, somebody makes a lot of money, the team's not in contention, and so they deal him because they're not going to re-sign him or whatever. And then there's the baseball trade where a good example of that would be when the Yankees traded Jesus Montero for Michael Pineda. And Pineda was he had just pitched his rookie season with the Mariners. Montero was the top Yankees prospect at that point, and they swapped. Didn't work out really for either side. Montero threw an ice cream sandwich at a man and ended up just kind of, he gained 100 pounds and was out of baseball before too long. And then Michael Pineda tore his labrum that spring. So, but that was a baseball trade. This is a combination of both because the Padres definitely had to clear some money, but they're also trying to compete. I mean, you guys are still right. You guys still got a chance to make the playoffs last year. You still got some really great talent. You just needed to kind of reload the pitching staff. Yeah,
the whole narrative about the Padres are broke and they have to, shut all this salary and fire sale. It's not true. You have to reduce. They want to reduce payroll. They had to take a loan out. Other teams have done that too. And nobody calls them broke. That wasn't an abnormal thing. So,
I mean, in America,
how can you plug all those holes and reduce payroll at the same time? So this was just kind of a business move.
Look,
and other teams are always trying to reduce payroll as well. So,
hey,
this is America, Jack.
Best you can do for the least amount of money. Yeah. So, hey, look. I obviously feel pretty good about what the Yankees are doing. I think they're going to continue to go out and chase some pitching. But what else are the Padres going to try and do this winter? I mean, you're obviously working with limited payroll. What's next for them?
I think they're going to trade for some more pitching. This pitching that we've traded for, I don't think is enough. It's just more depth. I think they're going to try to get Corbin Burns. I think they're going to try to even go after Bieber or Emmanuel Clase. There's even rumblings about Randy Rosarena, Jung-Hoo Lee, the Korean outfielder. So I think that's really the next things on the list. You're going to see a lot of trades. The only free agency is going to be Jung-Hoo Lee. There's going to be a lot of trades.
Jung-Hoo Lee is interesting to me because he's obviously a contact first guy who walks and hits more than he strikes out. Obviously, a ton of great numbers in the Korean League, but against fastballs 93 miles an hour and faster, he hit under 200. So does that concern you at all?
Yes and no, because when Ha-Seong Kim was first signed by the Padres, I went and looked at his Korean highlights, and I saw the same thing. Everything he was hitting was off speed, was like low 90s fastballs at best. And I was concerned. I was like, this guy's not going to hit major league fastballs. And he didn't at all for the first year. And he was obvious. He just, anything 95 and above, he was just overmatched. And we were patient with him, and he worked really hard, and he turned himself into a legit major league baseball player. And I think that kind of assuages my concern a little bit, because if he can make that transition, then Jung-Hoo Lee can make that transition, and Ha-Seong Kim can actually help him make that transition, and he can get comfortable here. I think it's a good fit for him.
Yeah. I think the Yankees are definitely, like, Yamamoto's the next domino to fall, but I don't know if they're going to do much else other than that. If I were them, I would take it one step further. I would try and get Corbin Burns. I would trade one of my low-level blue chip prospects, somebody like I don't know, Roderick Arias, somebody maybe a shortstop, Trey Sweeney, who's blocked by Volpe, and try and get Corbin Burns to round out that rotation, because then it would be Cole, Yamamoto, and then number 3 would probably be, I'd say, Cortez, and then Burns, Burns 3rd or 4th, and then Rodon number 5. And Rodon, I have almost zero confidence in. You guys want Rodon? We'll give him to you.
What about Frankie Montas? Throw him in.
Frankie Montas is a free agent. You guys could probably get him if you want him. He's probably only going to make about 12, 13 million. Is that going to push you guys too high up?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Oh.
We need the money for the Korean outfielder. He's going to cost a lot more than people think. I think he might get $70 million. Yamamoto is getting really expensive. I think he might get north of $300 million.
It's looking that way, man, because Cohen's going to throw the bag at him because of we've seen what he did with Scherzer and Verlander. He just outspent the field. That ended up being a dumb move. But the question is, how much sway is somebody like Masahiro Tanaka or Hideki Matsui as a Yankees rep? He's going to, no, you don't want to play for Mets. But yeah, I feel actually surprisingly confident in Yamamoto, despite the fact that it's kind of a bidding war with Cohen. And Brian Cashman came out and said, look, if it's a bidding war straight up on money, we're not going to win because we're not going to bid as much as Cohen. But I think one of the reasons the Yankees wanted to act quickly to get Soto and Verdugo and basically win the winter meetings is to leave that impression, if he's following it, in the mind of Yamamoto, who just won the winter meetings and is getting all this attention. The Yankees. They just got Soto. What have the Mets done? I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, it reminds me of that famous Tommy Lasorda quote. He said, whoever gets the best player in a trade wins, flat out.
Yeah.
And Soto's the best player.
Perfect Chicken says, I'm asking too much. Soto, Yamamoto, and Verdugo is basically a perfect offseason. Going to go ahead and disagree. That's not enough.
Just a bit outside.
That's not enough. They need to do more. This team was 14 or 17 games out of first place or something last year against an Orioles team that, by the way, is getting better. They're getting Jackson Holiday next year, who's probably going to hit 330 as a rookie. So the Yankees, we've got a plan for people to get hurt because they always do. I say stack this team up, do a 1-year super team or a 3-year super team if you can. You know, like Miami Heat with LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Do it. I want to see the Yankees be that team again. So, what are the Dodgers? Have you been following the Dodgers, your division rival?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny watching everybody melt down about Dave Roberts. I think, he's going to end up in LA. There's all these rumblings about the Blue Jays. Hey, they were supposed to get Soto too, remember? They're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So
yeah. Well, I actually think that there is something to the Ohtani to the Blue Jays rumors because he went to Dunedin, Florida to check out their spring training complex. You don't do that if you're not like at least a little interested. At least he wouldn't,
I think you gotta negotiate some leverage.
I guess that's true. You do have to. I mean, the Dodgers don't want to bid against themselves, and the it is the agent's job to create the illusion at least of something else. But he was also spotted in San Francisco. Nobody wants to play in San Francisco, man. I feel bad.
Talking about a bridesmaid, right?
Dude, when was the last time you were in San Francisco?
Oh, probably 20 years ago.
I was there 2000, probably 14 through 17 for the Oracle Open World Conference every year. It was like this big software conference. It is the most disgusting, and it's probably gotten worse since then, the most disgusting place I've ever been. And I grew up, going to New York City in the early 90s, late 80s. I don't think I was ever there in the late 80s.
On the subway cars.
Yeah, you're driving by, you see a burnt out car, chalk outline or whatever. No, but like when they say human feces on the streets, like they're not kidding, and it's not a little amount. I remember I wanted to walk to this restaurant, like you got the food around the hotel where I was staying was all like super priced, like garbage or whatever. And so I wanted to go to like a real authentic restaurant. So I found this little Italian restaurant and I said, it's a beautiful day. I got a few hours. I'm going to walk down there. And literally on the way there, I saw a dude shitting on the sidewalk, literally in the process of pooping on the sidewalk. And there was probably at least 3 to 4 other piles of shit that were not dog shit that I encountered on my way. And, after that, I was like, you know what? I'm not coming to San Francisco anymore. I just don't. It's just gross.
People pay $5,000 a month in rent to live there. So
and the prices are ridiculous. The driving is nuts. I went to Target and bought a whole bunch of shit, and they wouldn't let me have a bag. Like they were like, carry it. I think they wanted. I don't know if they were charging for bags, but they didn't have any plastic bags, and they were like, I think they wanted to charge me like $2 for just like a canvas bag to bring with me, and I rejected that on principle. So
yeah, I remember when I went to back home to California, they had enacted that law, and so I went to the store and I bought like 4 cans of dog food, and I went to put it in the bag, and there's no bag, and so I just ended up carrying them awkwardly out of the store, like all these loose cans. It was pretty fun.
Well, I wish you guys the best as Padres fans this year. I do think it would be fun to see Tatis in the playoffs because he's such a wild man, such a, like, the bat flips and all that stuff. So hopefully we'll get you guys back in there. Rematch of the 98 World Series. How about that?
Yeah, hopefully we can play each other for something. Yeah,
that would be nice.
Rematch 98.
And if that does happen, just so you know, that for that week, this friendship is just kind of on pause,
Of course. But hey, you got what, 27 championships? We got how many?
Well, I'll admit we do have some We've got 5. We've got 5 in my lifetime, which is nice, but it's been a while. For a Yankee fan going on 14 years now, it's tough. It's tough.
Oh yeah. For Padres, it's 50 plus years. Tough.
Yeah, but it's the Padres. Come on. Come on.
Yeah. So we're still people, man. Come on.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah, bird.
All right, man. Thanks for joining tonight. Guys, we're looking forward to some more moves. I'm going to probably take a couple of days off, and then I'll be back when we have some news on Yamamoto. Until then, see you later.